Hello everyone, I'm Alex and this is Generation Vatican II, where we try to understand what exactly was said in the Second Vatican Council and how it affects our lives. Hey everyone, I'm Alex Clark. This is Generation Vatican II. Again, we've got John Donovan on the show. Quick recap for his bio. John, master's in education from Notre Dame, worked as an educator for several years, runs an improv troupe right now, and he was an Amazon #1 bestseller for religious devotions category, right?
Something. I know for a fact that I was #1 in ancient and classical drama and plays. Those ancient and classical dramas and plays, lots of new things being released in that category. So it was fierce competition.
And you've got another book coming out soon, which is kind of the topic for our discussion today. John and I were chit-chatting, as you do with good friends, and we started talking about, Catholic culture and what that means. Sort of a wide-ranging chit-chat, kind of a melding of the minds. John then took all of my good input. He wrote a fantastic Substack article, which he has in finalized version right now, about to get published. John, what's your Substack again?
It is at John Donovan 830. So if you go to, I probably have this written down. I can pull it up right now. It is johndonovan830.substack.com. Super appreciate people who want to subscribe. You can subscribe for free, or you can contribute and be a paying member, which would be so appreciated.
Yeah. So that's going to get posted there, and actually it's going to be a late addition to your upcoming book. What's the title of the upcoming book again?
It's called The Z-Axis. So a little bit behind the curtain, I was messaging you, I was like, Alex, when am I getting back on the podcast? Because we had a laugh on the first time, and people were just clamoring. People go, we want more John. We want more John. I know. I'm on those. I'm on all the Slack channels. I'm on all the Discord servers, and they go, we need more JD on GV2, Generation Vatican II. Mm-hmm. And so you're like, what do you want to talk about? And I go, well, we can talk about this thing that I call the Z-Axis, which is one of the many topics I cover in my upcoming book. But then was like, actually, maybe pump the brakes. This is a little bit of business lesson for you and all of your listeners. I was like, wait, what if we talk about that next time? All of a sudden, Alex, I've booked myself twice on your show. Mm-hmm. I see opportunities. I see opportunities.
Doggone, man. You pulled the wool over me, man. I'm real upset about this. Yeah.
So all I'm saying is that those listeners that are very curious, what does John mean, the Z-axis? What is he referring to? You'll just have to tune in next time. Mm-hmm. Instead, then you were like, hey, I actually was going, let's put a pause on that, because I want to kind of maybe time that out a little bit better with my release, because I'm getting close to finishing writing it, and then you have revisions and various things, and it's going to be a little bit of time. So instead, I go,
make sure they're in the right spot.
All the semicolons. My semicolons are impeccable. Rather, it was like, hey, actually, here's an idea of a thing that I feel very passionate about. Something that I feel like I've kind of seen around me that exists that I want to call attention to for reasons we'll probably cover today. And you were like, oh, cool. And we kind of chat a little bit about it. And I went, actually, you know what? This is a theme in my book. I should actually have an entire essay devoted to it, because it's implicit in a lot of the rest of my writings. And so here we are talking about it today.
Oh, yeah. So, hey, we'll get all those linked down in the description for YouTube as well. Get it all in there so people can click it. John, I don't know if you knew, there was we as a culture really messed up with YouTube. There was a brief moment back in the early 2010s when they wanted to call the description of a YouTube video the doobley-doo. Have you heard about this?
I've never heard about this. That's insane.
There was a very small movement that hey, you get a YouTube video, you put in the title, there's a comment section, there's a little description area where you can put whatever you want in there. And people were like, well, what do we call that? How many opportunities do we have to create a word in the English language? This was one, and the word proposed was the doobley-doo.
They had a meta awareness of we know that we are creating a movement. We know that we have the
we gotta make a name for this, the doobley-doo, and that was the leading contender. And then lame people probably who wear glasses put on, no, we're gonna call it the description because it describes the video, right? Put your description in the description. It's like, come on, man.
That's something actually but that's something I contended with. Actually, like the coining of terms, it takes some skill. Have you ever read the King Killer Chronicles, Patrick Rothfuss?
Yes, I am waited with bated breath for the third one.
And I think this podcast will be the thing that pushes over the door. Regardless, so you know, but for people who are listening,
Patrick, get it going.
It's an incredible epic fantasy series where there's this magical university. It's not like Hogwarts. It's a different magical university, and there's two types of magic. One which is like very like science, in-world science, but magic to us. And one that is very magical, known as like naming, and this idea of names having power, and the people who are namers are like true wizards and things like that. But they're also very good at just naming things, right? Where like the main character makes this invention, and then the naming professor is like, I know what to call this, and it's like a great name for it. And so I think about that sometimes, where in this thing that we're talking about today, I actually had like I'm writing this. I need to come up with like a good name for this. And I hope I hit it, but it's a very true thing when you go, I have put my finger on a concept or on an idea, or we have this momentous creation in the midst of popular culture where I have the meta lens of going, this is something, and I have an opportunity to influence this in an observable way. And so I kind of love that they just went, no, description.
Okay, so let's set the stage, and we'll get to what you have called Catholic culture. The stage, enter, curtains rise. Enter, stage right, John Donovan. And stage left is influencer with his pants down by his knees. What's going on?
That's quite the introduction. So go back to 2021. I am at the wedding of a good friend of mine, awesome dude. Literally, he was texting me today in our group chat. They were discussing some like moral quandary about something or other, and I went, I will respond later.
This is a mutual friend of ours, right?
This is a mutual friend of ours from Pensacola. Okay. Yes, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And at any rate, incredible guy, so handsome. That's an inside joke for him. And so at any rate, I'm at this guy's wedding, and it's an incredible wedding. And so the pants are on the floor. The night before the wedding, I am sharing a room with the groom and another groomsman who self-reported, I haven't checked this, is apparently the second most followed Catholic on Instagram behind Bishop Barron. But I get my card, I go up, I scan it, I open the door, and there's a man I've never met before with his pants around his ankles going, "Don't come in here." And I went, "I'm so sorry. I thought this was my room." And he goes, "No, what are you doing?" And I was like, I legit thought I had the wrong room. I did not know what was the matter. And he's like, "I'm messing with you. Hi, nice to meet you. It's me." And then he introduced himself, and he's actually a really cool dude. We had a fun friendship that weekend, and we've stayed a little bit in touch over the years, not as much maybe as we should have, but really great dude. But we're at this wedding, and when I say this is the second most followed guy on Catholic Instagram, self-reported, I just say that not because I don't believe him, because I just haven't checked that. Apparently, everyone at this wedding is again self-termed Catholic social media mafia. Almost everyone here has met each other through Catholic social media. To the point that the groom and I, this guy, our mutual friend, he and I even did a number of podcasts together. His bride has a podcast. It's so popular to the point that when I was a groomsman in it, and the pictures came out on her Instagram months later, students of mine at the Catholic school, my ex-girlfriend, they were texting me, they go my students came up to me on a field trip, my ex-girlfriend texted me, important distinction, but they were both like, "Is this you? How do you know this person?" I'm like, "I got famous friends, baby." I said that to the ex-girlfriend, I didn't say that to the students. You should just edit all of that. The point being kind of actually, yeah, social media, Catholic social media mafia. And so at this wedding, we have a beautiful mass at the Basilica. We have an awesome party bus, and we go to this really cool reception hall. It's called St. Francis Reception Hall, right by Catholic America University, something like that, right in D.C. Beautiful. And at one point throughout the night, this one guy, and I don't even know who he was, if he was just some wedding guest or wasn't this one the party, I don't know who it was, but he goes, "Isn't this great? What a Catholic wedding this is." And I was like, "Yeah, what do you mean?" And he goes, "Well, just the sacrament is so central to this wedding." Mm-hmm. And I'm not a conflict-oriented person, so I went Yeah, for sure. 100%. But I'm also someone that's like, okay, I need to unpack that. Because I can take him what he means, right? And so I'm actually going to toss that back to you for a second, Alex. Someone says like, oh, the sacrament is so central to this wedding. What does that mean to you?
Okay, so I hear that and I think compared to non-Catholic weddings. So
compared to non-Catholic weddings, compared to maybe even Catholic weddings that like don't
that
whatever.
Focus more on the, Pinterest element of it,
yeah.
Or I would say more like the bride and groom really focusing on what the community is there gathered to celebrate, the joining of two people as one flesh.
Yeah.
Which is sort of a description of the sacrament of matrimony and how God fuses these lives together and how that is becoming something central to the experience that everyone is partaking in, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I'm picking up. Okay.
Which is very apt. And what I'll say is accurate. Like, this is like super devout couple, like super holy people. So if that's how he meant it, which let's take him at his word, yes, very, very much so. As opposed to like that Pinterest thing. But I still go, there's a part of me where I go, how do you make that more central? You just go, I'm valuing that harder. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, so we talk about how the sacraments that the priest administers, like it doesn't matter about the priest if he says it, with good inflection, like a good orator, or if he just kind of like mumbles his way through the mass or anything like it.
Doesn't matter how holy he is.
Operato, right? And so in marriage, it's the husband and wife administer the sacrament to each other. So it's going to be a marriage, assuming all the things that make a marriage, right? That they're entering freely of their own volition, they love each other, yada yada. No prohibitions against the marriage, right? Previous marriages, etc. As long as any of that is there, like a marriage is a marriage, and it's gonna be the same, right?
And I want to stress again, like this couple, like if anyone could mean it the most, like this is definitely the couple doing that, like right. So that's not the question here. It's not about the actual wedding. It's about this guy's comment. Where I go, what does he mean by, what is he perceiving, and what is behind that question, and then even what's maybe not necessarily behind that question, but what got me starting to think about that, because I've thought about this before. I've seen people being like, and I've also experienced this where it's like, oh, like if you have faith the size of mustard seed, you can move a mountain from here to there. You can have the tree planted. And you go, okay, so like then what is that faith? It's just I am going to so solidly convince myself that this is going to happen. And if I have any doubt, it won't. And so I have to like perform a type of double think on myself. And that's devoutness, or that's faith, or whatever that is. That's not like the church's answer, but I think that's colloquially how we can often define that, right? I once heard this really interesting thing where like Stephen Colbert would like take a spoon and he'd look at it until he could convince himself that when he would let go of it, it would fall upwards instead of downwards. And it was like a mental exercise he would engage in just for whatever reason. You can look that up online. And I've seen popular representations of faith where it seems to be like that's what it is. It's like if I just gut instinct my faith enough that X, Y, and Z is going to happen, and if I expel by force of will doubt as much as I can, then the thing that I believe will happen, because that's what we are told. I don't think that's accurate, and I think the analog there is like, oh, if we just value marriage more or harder, then it's more Catholic of a wedding. And
there would be like sociological benefits to valuing marriage harder, right? If we want to use that kind of terminology, sure, okay,
right, absolutely. There's a number of things where I just kind of go like, so like, what does it mean to like value it harder? And like, then why is it important to be super Catholic as opposed to Catholic? Well, it seems like it'd be a binary of like, it's either a Catholic wedding or it's not a Catholic wedding. How can you be like a super Catholic? So there's all this comparative stuff here, and so you mentioned it earlier. You said this earlier of like, oh yeah, it's like valuing the sacrament as opposed to like the Pinteresty stuff. And so that's where my mind went next when he said this. And again, I'm putting words in this guy's mouth. And again, this is not a comment on the actual couple's wedding. This is just like, he says this, I go, yeah, wow. And then I'm off thinking because it is a super Catholic wedding, so meaning everyone there is married except for me. Hey, it's a Catholic military wedding. They marry young, so I have time to think. Right? And so I'm going, okay, so like, if it's super Catholic, and if it's Catholic versus super Catholic, because I go, if you're valuing the sacrament, if you go, the most important thing here is like two become one. This is like a visible sign of an invisible grace. This represents like the Holy Trinity as best as we can manage it. Christ and His Church, all these things. I go, then the rest of it doesn't, in no way impacts our observation of how Catholic this wedding is. But here's the thing, Alex. If I'm looking around and I'm turning this wedding into a Pinterest board, it's pretty darn Catholic.
Okay.
And what I even just say, I'm like, this was a super Catholic wedding, so everyone was married. Or this was a super Catholic military wedding, so everyone was married, right? What I was just doing there is like, I was pointing to cultural markers. I'm like, this is like a super Catholic wedding, so as a result, everyone who was attending that wedding got married when they were 22 or 23. Well,
and so are you also talking about then like the venue, the
venue, St. Francis Hall, the venue? There's it's an old hall, but it's refurbished, and there's candles, and we like drinking here, but not too much, but enough because Jesus brought 180 gallons to a wedding, but drinking to the point of moderation, to the point of hilarity, as Aquinas said. There's the attitudes and the aesthetics and the Pinterest board that you look at and you go, oh, that's pretty Catholic.
Okay.
And it, again, not a comment on the couple's intentions. Number one, I'll say valued the wedding itself, the sacrament, a lot. They valued it a ton. Super devout, awesome, holy people. The wedding, number two, super cute. No condemnation there. It was a very cute wedding.
Yeah, would have I liked to have the most beautiful wedding? Absolutely.
It legit was gorgeous. My only complaint: more single bridesmaids. That's my only complaint. Otherwise, okay. But then we wouldn't be here, Alex, if I didn't have time to think. And so that's it. Started me on this question. I actually couldn't have this conversation we're having now at that moment because I just kept going, what does he mean? This is super Catholic. Mm-hmm. Because I go, you either value the sacrament or you don't. And maybe it can mean more to you, but like this comparative super, it's either Catholic or it's not. It can't be super Catholic or a little Catholic or it's so Catholic. And I'm looking around and I go, I can't help but feel like the aesthetics of this and the attitudes and the way that we are interacting with like music or drink or whatever feels very Catholic in a way. And so I left that weekend really more with a question than an answer. And that was like, what makes something super Catholic? Because like, just try to answer that for a second. What makes something super Catholic to you? And I've got a variety of, go ahead and try to answer that and just be like, and just we can see in real time how that sort of puzzles out.
Yeah. So I would think if someone says like X thing is super Catholic, I would think probably super sacramental. Okay. Mm-hmm. So an icon or a necklace or something like that. Okay, that's been blessed maybe, or is meant to like be an opportunity to
Our Lady of Guadalupe,
right there. You
a rosary, an icon. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. What else would make something super Catholic?
Something super Catholic. So prominently displayed then as well. Not out of a sense of like, look at me, right? But like, hey, this is something that's super important to me, so I'm gonna like display it because I need to see it. All right. So that's my knee-jerk reaction to like something that's super Catholic. That's what I'm like out in the world. Like outside of a church or the sacraments themselves, that's what I'm thinking. Sacramentals and things that are like meant to draw your mind.
Then like let's like take a church then, right? Yeah. Like what makes a church super Catholic? We got Catholic church and we have non-Catholic Christian churches.
Okay.
Ecclesial communities.
At that point, I would say, what's the difference in a church that makes a church super Catholic? Because like just a church being Catholic would be like, all right, there's a Catholic priest there, there's like an altar, okay, to offer the sacrifice. Those would be like the important things, and then after that, I would say like stained glass windows, pews, like mahogany wood, icons,
some statues that are bleeding, the Stations of the Cross,
miracles going on in that corner, you know.
Yes. Hopefully, if it's a good Catholic place, there's some bones somewhere.
Grandma's over there praying the rosary, stuff like
right.
that.
Yeah. And then when we can do this with anything, we like what makes it a super Catholic movie, a super Catholic book. Take it one further.
What we're getting at our last conversation, which I think I actually ended up having to cut from the show. But
okay.
I had accidentally stopped recording for like a bit where I was talking, and I had to just cut it completely out because I had no backup.
Unbelievable.
But okay. So I don't know if it's actually in that video. I don't remember. But where like there's a difference between characterizations and definitions. Do you remember this conversation?
Refresh my memory.
So you can define something, which is to say it is explicitly this, not that. But then you can also like characterize stuff, which isn't necessarily exclusionary and definitive, but are, once you start piling them on, might be uniquely characterizing of a thing. And that's how you describe something, characterizations. And I'm really okay with, hey guys, as long as we acknowledge that I'm characterizing something right now, it's okay that we can start talking in that language as opposed to definitions. So if I'm going to characterize a Catholic church, I would talk about, all right, so like knee-jerk reaction, definitions are a priest is there and an altar is there. Characterizations are going to be, prayer cards, statues, pews, organ, stained glass music, et cetera, icons, whatever, right?
I love this language that you're using because the terms that I've been using have been like necessary and unnecessary.
Yeah.
And those carry connotations that I didn't love. And so I like this idea of characterization versus definition. And so like maybe like that's a good segue into it. It was so difficult for me to answer this question. I'd be asking people, and I didn't even know how to ask the question. And I didn't know how to give example because people would give me an example. Well, I even told you, I'm like, this is so useful because we talked about this. I wrote sort of like a rough draft, sent it to you, finished the rough draft. Now we're talking about it before I finish the final draft and publish it. So I'm like, this is the best possible way for me to write this. Where I had the idea, just a matter of articulating, whatever.
By the way, line 53, you had a hanging prepositional phrase. You might need to go fix that.
I don't believe you for a second. You texted me, I'm afraid that John thinks I'm not well read.
Poor reading comprehension.
That's it. That's what it is. That's what it is. The groom is of this wedding is someone who's afraid that they're not well read. I am getting my wires crossed. Very smart guy. So it took me a while to even sort of like figure out how to ask this or to give examples. And what I eventually arrived at is something like this characterization versus definition. Is that it involved this a second question, which is like outside of what does it mean to be super Catholic or a little Catholic, it was just like what makes something Catholic. And you touched on some of them, like right, like a sacramentality, like it has to do with the 7 sacraments. Obviously, it has to do with like the Holy Trinity, right? Like if it's not having to do with like God, the Father, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, like we're not talking about Catholic Christianity. Like there's certain things where it's like, yeah, those are super necessary, like I said, or super definitional. But then there's other things like, well, like a rosary, some icons, stained glass windows, like whoa. And so what I eventually arrived at was what I called at the time, here's for naming terms, like Catholicity. Now I call it like Catholish. I oftentimes refer to it as just like culture. And it's this idea that like what I think this man was pointing to, maybe unconsciously, or at least what he pointed me to, was this manifestation of a cultural response to the faith that is non-moral, non-doctrinal, and semi-devotional, but communicates to oneself and others a response to the Catholic faith. And to be fair, this can also apply to our Protestant brothers and sisters, because there's a lot of Christian culture, which is in response to those specific beliefs, which in the same way would be non-moral, non-doctrinal, and semi-devotional, but also quasi-performative, not in terms of like I'm doing this and it's empty and it's hollow, but I am doing certain things to perform for myself, for people who are looking, for God himself, that I am responding to the faith in as many dimensions of my life as I can. Whether that's being the kind of food that I eat, the way that I dress, the type of media that I consume, what my wedding is like. And even as people are listening to this right now, Alex, they can go, well, the way that you dress, the type of food that you eat, the type of media you consume, that's not non-moral. Like, those are all moral things. You can dress in a very non-modest way. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The type of media you can consume some pretty immoral media, right? The music. And so that's what made this so difficult, because you can also do it the opposite way.
It would be a little more difficult, but you can get to, foie gras is like this horribly immoral way to eat. What, goose, right? So okay. All right. So
the point being is like, and then conversely, it's like, well, I only watch The Passion of the Christ and The Chosen. I only watch good media. So like, that was what was very difficult about like parsing this all out, was just being able to even like be like, what am I looking at? Mm-hmm. But essentially, what I did arrive at, and feel free to disagree, but like this is at least something I want us to be thinking about, which is why I'm glad to have this conversation, because it's like, I could be entirely wrong in me sort of pointing at this, right? Like the idea behind like this essay that I'm writing, this conversation is going, I've noticed a phenomenon occurring in our circles. And I want to go, this is here, right? And this is how we interact with it, and this is what it is. And it's very possible to go, no, John, you've misread this. This is actually what's happening. Or you can go, no, I disagree with this. But it's important to be like, let's at least talk about what's there. And so the thing that I want to talk about is this, like, what makes something Catholic when it's not moral, when it doesn't have to do with goodness or evil, when it's non-doctrinal, when it doesn't have to do with actual teachings of the church and what is in the creed, and when it's not non-devotional but semi-devotional. And that's what makes it so difficult there, Alex, is that with all of these, we look at various dimensions of our lives, what we eat, what we wear, how we decorate our house, how we have a wedding, all these types of things. And we go, no, these are moral decisions, and these are doctrinal decisions, and they're very devotional. And to those I go, sometimes the food you consume, sometimes the media you consume, sometimes the way you dress is moral. You can dress immodest. You can watch a film that's not good. You can misuse food. You can have a wedding that celebrates the wrong things. But a lot of times, they're not moral. The way that you're dressed versus the way that I'm dressed, like, one is not more good or bad than the other, right? Same with, like, media. It's like, I can watch this movie, you can watch that TV show, and, like, they can both be net neutral for morality. Or they can be net neutral in terms of like whether God is three or one or many or whatever. It's like we're not commenting. That's not what this is about. However, a big stumbling point was the semi-devotional part, especially when you come to like stained glass windows, rosaries, hanging up on Our Lady of Guadalupe. Like, that is specifically because I'm Catholic and I'm doing that. I wouldn't do that if I wasn't Catholic. I wouldn't hang a cross over my door if I wasn't Catholic. So you're saying like I'm performing? I do that for someone else's the idea was that this is semi-devotional, right? We have certain devotions, like a devotion to certain saints, or a devotion to certain practices, various things. I like to go for a walk in the woods. I like to pray my rosary. I like a cup of coffee before the Blessed Sacrament. I go to daily mass, whatever it is. And these are all devotional, meaning like they are aimed towards the adoration and worship and love and affection and lived reality of a relationship with God.
Okay. So let me see if I can say this back to you.
Oh, okay, sure.
All right, so we're talking about Catholic culture. Right?
Yes.
And
Catholish.
You've coined this term.
It's not Catholic, it's Catholicism.
Okay,
Catholicity, Catholic culture. It's different than Catholic proper.
Yeah.
The doctrine, the deposit of faith. It's slightly different. And if I could really articulate it very, very much right now, there's the deposit of faith. There's how we respond living that out. And then there's how we live that out or try to live that out in areas where it's like, hey, there's no moral actions here. Mm-hmm. There's no comments on any of the beliefs of the church. Whether you have toast for breakfast or cereal for breakfast doesn't really speak.
If I wear a green shirt or a red shirt.
If I wear a green shirt or a red shirt, if I watch the latest Marvel movie or DC movie, it doesn't really speak to whether like Mary was assumed into heaven. Like, either way, we're good. There's certain elements, though, that we still go, but there's a Catholic way to live or a Christian way to live. And I want to live the right way in those areas as well.
So then, okay, so we have the non-moral. Okay, so this is something that doesn't have any portrayal whatsoever to your moral stance on a given issue. Okay, eating a hot dog for lunch doesn't say anything about your morals. And then there's non-doctrinal. It doesn't matter if you wear a green shirt or a red shirt to say anything about, the hypostatic union of Christ or anything, right? But these are semi-devotional. So maybe I wear a red shirt today because that's the liturgical color in the Mass.
Yeah, and if you don't wear a red shirt, well, I guess you forgot what day it is. No, who cares? Yeah, I only have one red shirt.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, but even that, it's like even that you did that for a reason. But
so all of this is coming to the idea of Catholish, which is the idea that I'm trying to live out Catholic ideology. I'm trying to live out Catholicism in every aspect of my life, even things that have like no innate value toward a moral or doctrinal issue, but I can make some sort of symbolism.
Yeah. Well, I mean, take a look behind me, man. Like, so I moved in this apartment, and I have the Our Lady of Guadalupe. I have the books. If you look a little bit more, I guess I'm getting out of the way now. Like, I have like a record player. I don't have a TV up. I have a sectional over here. And as I was putting my room together, I was like, I want this to be cozy. Okay. So that like when people come over and we're hanging out, I can play some like light, like autumn jazz. And even like my lamp here, I got a dimmer for, so I can make it more or less cozy or whatever it is. And the idea was I want it to be cozy.
Yeah.
I want to manifest coziness. But there's also like, I also kind of want to be like a little bit like Catholic cozy. Like the Our Lady of Guadalupe at the prominent position. I want the books, right? Like if there's more books than like a TV. If there's a TV there, a giant TV and no books and no Our Lady, well, that feels a little bit less Catholic, doesn't it?
Okay.
And not to mention, I got over here, I got my mini bar with like a how to make a perfect martini drink. I'm like, well, that's a little Catholic, isn't it? We like to have our drinks.
Okay.
Jesus showed up with 180 gallons of wine at a wedding.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with enjoying the fruit of the vine, right? And so like the point is like, I had an intentional aim of coziness, but especially like maybe like, let's break in a little like Catholic cozy and how I'm thinking about my room. But also like, that was my meaning. And that's what I was aiming for. There's a billion other ways that someone could have attempted the exact same endeavor with different pieces of art and different levels of lighting and different furniture, and maybe it's not books, and maybe it's this, and maybe it's, and so like that's like Catholic is like these subjective and preferential choices that we make to have some type of meaning or value specifically directed towards God or our experience of God that is semi-devotional, right? Like I'm not like it's not laid out to be like, I will glorify God with how my sectional is in this corner. I mean, you could stretch it that much, but it's like, that's a good place to put a couch. Okay.
Ottoman fits over there. Got it.
Right? Like, yeah, we'll venerate Mary, give her like a place of privilege. But like, I could have put that somewhere else.
Well. So this makes me think of Opus Dei, right? Which is prima facie Opus Dei is you go to work and you do your work and you offer that as a sacrifice to God. And more abstract, Opus Dei is like do the best you can in everything in your life and offer that to God because God deserves the best in everything you do. And if that means feng shui your room because the ottoman fits in this corner better, then you do that. Okay, like I feel like this is already something in Catholicism.
So this is a really good distinction, right? This is a really good distinction, and this is part of why I want to highlight this is. I am not like trying to like put like an emphasis on this to deconstruct it and be like this is unnecessary. It's to be done away with. It's all like whatever you subjectively decided it meant. That's not the goal. The goal is to be like let's be intentional about this, but let's also acknowledge some ways that we might be able to do this incorrectly. Because if you have this guy who goes, "Isn't it great that this is super Catholic?" There is an implicit judgment of there's other things that are less Catholic, right? Yeah. In this case, hey, this is a very like aesthetically traditional wedding. Well, if our reception was in the woods, And it's all very different, and it's not with the candlelight and the refurbished brick and and there's no alcohol service. Like, would you still go, this is super Catholic? Because the answer is, it doesn't matter. This was a Catholic wedding, and now we're celebrating it. There's ways that you can have these things be different, but still be pointed towards the same thing. And so what this gets to the core of is, let's give our best to God.
Okay.
Best can look different for different people. Mm-hmm. And what's more is, a lot of times when we go, I want to give the best, I want this to be Catholic, we can get trapped into a way of thinking of like the one specific way that I respond, or my community responds, or the tradition or the culture that I like responds is the way that is. Rather than saying, hey, we have the sacraments. We have the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. We have the fullness of grace. So long as we're responding with reverence and love, we kind of have a ton of wiggle room. Let's give our best, but our best doesn't look like this one thing that I think is best. Mm-hmm. And so what this kind of touches on is this idea between like the relative and the absolute, or the subjective versus the objective. Now, like, you encounter this all the time. Like, yeah. We focus a lot on like relativism is ruining the world. It's a poison. Oh, subjectivism. So no truth is subjective. We go guns blazing. Like, we need to absolutely defend objective truth. We absolutely need to defend the absolute. What I think highlighting this does is says like, hey, look, 100%. We do need to always be loyal. And defensive. I don't know about defensive, if that's the right word, but you see what I'm getting at. Like, we always have to be denizens of the cause. Like, there is an absolute truth, and his name is Jesus, mm-hmm. and there is objective reality. At the same time, there's a lot of wiggle room in there for when we respond to that and how that manifests in our individual subjective lives, of how I decorate a room or how I dress or the types of media that I watch. That I'm choosing specific things because I want to respond to that in a devotional way. But like, there's no moral judgment here, and there's no doctrinal judgment here. But when we say offer the best, we can go, no, there is a best way, and there is a good way. And rock and roll is devil music. And you're like, no, it's not. But okay, that's just different subjective lines of where you want to draw moral goodness. We're gonna be like, D&D is satanic. It's like, Dungeons and Dragons was based on the Lord of the Rings, which is a super Christian work, which is, you go, well, John, how do you say something super Christian? I'm like, well, J.R. Tolkien was like super Catholic in his like devotional and liturgical and thought process, and the Catholic worldview and philosophy and themes are baked into that text. So I can be like, yeah, this is a Catholic text. Uh-huh. And also we go, hey, you know what's super Catholic? Loving Lord of the Rings. It's like, you're not a bad Catholic if you don't love it. It's a work of art. You either like it or you don't. There's no moral weight attached to that. There's no doctrinal weight. If you like it and it brings you closer to Jesus, it's devotional. If you don't like it, no worries. There's no weight there. But then we go, no, but D&D is satanic. It's like, D&D is a moral neutral. You can play it and be awful and be like, let's explore our most perverse fantasies, or you'd be like, let's explore this and have fun times with our friends and make lasting memories and be heroes and like learn about cool situations. But the only difference is person A is like, no, it's satanic because I have decided that is a moral construct, and person B is like, no, it's not. It's immoral. And out of those two, I go, if they're gonna be arbitrary, I'm gonna side with person B there. That's an arbitrary, subjective assignment of morality or doctrine or devotion that doesn't apply to it. That would be Catholish. Mm-hmm. It's super Catholic to hate D&D. I love playing it. I have an improv show coming up doing it.
Okay.
Am I starting to like kind of, and even talking around to this is like, are you starting to see like why I had a difficult time figuring out what this was and relating it to other people?
So there are things that you can do as a semi-devotional activity, wearing the red shirt when the vestments are red for the day, right? But then there are things, loving Lord of the Rings, that are just like, dude, you don't have to, okay? Like, if you don't like it, that doesn't make you less Catholic. And insisting that a Catholic has to love Lord of the Rings, that's Catholic. That's what you're saying, right?
Sure. Well, in the same way, it's like, there's a self-performative element of like, one way that I have defined it is the things that you do to tell yourself that you're Catholic. So you're like, I'm so Catholic, I'm reading Lord of the Rings. It's like, great. Okay. You're reading that and you're learning about the nature of sin, and you're seeing elements about how small acts of generosity and mercy actually save the world from evil, rather than like these grand acts of heroism. All of these themes, you're like, yeah, great. That's like, that is forming you, and that's great. But if you're just doing that because you're like, this is what Catholics do, it's like, great, yeah.
What about...
You don't have to.
What about if someone is trying to do the old fake it till you make it? Like, hey man, I'm convinced of the Catholicism thing, okay? I get it. Like, sure, all right. I hate it though, man. Like, I hate everything about it. It sucks. I hate waking up in the morning on Sunday. I hate confession. I hate that, like, I can't eat breakfast right away. Like, and someone's just like, all right, well, you know what? You don't have to love it, but like, fake it till you make it. And
this is such a good question. When we evangelize, okay, what are we evangelizing? We're evangelizing Jesus loves you. Jesus died for you.
Yeah.
Believe in him, be united to him, have eternal life. Son of God became man so men could become sons of God. Like, become a new creation. Yes. How often are we in actuality being like, no, like, live like us? Not live with us in terms of like self-sacrificial acts of charity and liturgical worship and self-denial and mercy. But like, live with us like, but dress like, it's like, stop dressing like the way that you do and dress like us. And like, don't dye your hair that color. That's not a very like Christian way to dye your hair. And also like, no, like you like superhero movies. It's not beautiful. Like, Catholics love beauty. You need to like beautiful movies. And like, your house is like, you eat nothing but fast food. Like, don't you honor your body? And we have all of these other, and I'm painting with a broad brush.
Okay. Yeah.
And when people evangelize, they truly want people to know Jesus. But there's a lot of times where it's like, no, join our club and be like me and how I act and how I think a Catholic should look. When in reality, it's like, that person who's fake it till you make it. All the things that you listed, I don't like going to mass. I don't like going to confession. I don't like not eating breakfast right away. Those all have to do with liturgical observation of the sacraments. That's not cultural. It doesn't matter if you... right? Like, it's not like, okay, wow, look how Catholic I am. I go to confession. It's like, yeah, you're required to do that at least once a year to have your sins forgiven.
How about this then? I think it was like 2014, maybe 2013. There was a big hullabaloo because some college women wore like leggings to mass, okay, and some whatever Catholic blogger was talking about how she approached them. It's like, yo, I've got like 5 teenage or younger boys, and you're sitting here in like your skin tight leggings. Like, put on a skirt, put on a dress, put on pants. Like, why are you wearing skin tight leggings to mass and sitting in the front row? Like, come on, seriously. Which I remember when I first heard that, I was like, oh, okay, like modesty speech, mom talking to the
100%
adult women, hey, like, come on, act your age, right? And like, the world blew up at her, and the response was like, how dare you correct those young ladies? They're college students. Maybe that's all they have. Have you ever heard of "Come as You Are"? Maybe that is their Sunday best. Oh my goodness! And like, I remember that being a really divisive issue. I don't remember who it was, and I was actually at the center of it. But it was like, okay. So germane to our conversation here.
Good word choice there.
Look, nice. So germane. So like, young lady wearing skin tight leggings. Hey, I'm comfy in these. Like, it's what I want to wear. It looks nice. Get over your fogey 1990s. These aren't nice clothes, okay? Like, if you can wear your nice jeans to mass, I can wear my nice leggings to mass, okay? In which case, then there's the trad cath over there saying, like, why aren't you in a suit with a tie? And why aren't you wearing a dress?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, this is such a good question. This hits exactly on it, right? There's a couple distinctions that got to be made, right? Number one, one distinction that I always come back to is like Catholicism, Christianity, Orthodox Christianity, it is a paradoxical religion. Time and time again, we believe two seeming contraries at the same time, where we don't go one way or the other. We believe both at the same time. They're united by a higher unity, right? Yes. Number two, there is a it's both and, not a confusion of the two, right? Bishop Barron talks about this a lot. Chesterton talks about this a lot. Yes, and is improv. Yeah, I'm living rent free in that brain, right? So paradox is such a good way to always approach these things. Because like paradoxically, it's like, number one, modesty. Number two, come as you are. Are those exclusive? Were they being immodest? Were they being modest? And there's number two is like, there's moral and then there's ethical. One is like, this is a good, evil value judgment, and one is like socially acceptable. Right? Chesterton's got a great essay about this, about there's some things where, modesty in one place looks very different than modesty in another, but they are actually both being modest because that's modest according to their social values. And that's exactly what Catholish I'm trying to highlight is like, there are more subjective and societal and cultural ways that we interpret and manifest dimensions of our faith. But we go, no, this is moral and doctrinal, and there's only one way to do this. And so the purpose of highlighting this is not to deconstruct what's necessary. It's not to say, now everyone wear leggings or now everyone has to wear suits. It is to say, what is at the core of this? Which in this case is like bringing your best to a real encounter with the living God. And that might look like leggings. And if you have a little bit more time, or if you have a little bit more awareness, whatever it is, that might look like different things at different times. But when you go, there's only one proper way to do this, we start to encounter things not as they are, but as manifestations of ideologies. And so like another essay in this book that I'm writing, another way that I've come to really think is we talked about this last time about, can we interact with an art piece as representation of the ideology behind it? Yeah. Whether it was like with brutalism represented like this church, or like postmodernism, where's the distinction between the two of these? And the answer is, it depends, right? Sometimes we can go like, hey, you know what? The ideology behind this is divorced from it. Sometimes we go, no, I have to treat this for all that it represents. But a lot of times we treat other people, and we treat ways that they behave or aesthetic preferences as representative of gigantic evils, when in reality it's like there's just different preferences here. And we don't like preference, subjectivity, relative in the realm of religion, because we are the defenders of the absolute and the objective, rightly so. But my highlighting of this is being like, hey, there actually is both. Because what's subjective, that means that it's personally meaningful to you. And if it's meaningful to you, there is meaning. And if that, the question then is, how does that fit into the objective reality, right? And so this one individual is like, modesty, dressing up, rich apparel. This is the best that I have, and that's what my God deserves. It also means I am a steward of my children's virtue, right? Like, those are all true and good things. These other people could have been, come as you are. It could have been, I can be so non-performative with Jesus. I can just be so real and so me. And when I come to church, I don't need to put on or dress up. I can be me. And it's like, neither of those are untrue. But all we see is suit, leggings, right? And so it's so much messier than that. But what we have to be on guard for is, I call them mouth foamers. It's where you're so caught up in like, this is an ideology that I so firmly believe in that I cease to be like a functioning, decent, run-of-the-mill person, because it aggravates me. So I start foaming at the mouth, because we oftentimes go like, well, is it true? And does it make you a good person? And if those are the tenets of your ideology, you go, yeah, great. I also propose like, hey, can I have a beer with you? Obviously, like, not like a kid, but can I just shoot the shot with you? Can we just like talk about nothing and joke around and have interests that are like non ideologically based? Or is everything we're talking about political or religious or sociological, and everything we talk about is based in this ism or this ology? Can I talk to you about anything else? Just small, decent, everyday things? Or is everything revolving? Because if that's the case, I'd qualify you as like as a mouth foamer, being like, there is something off. Whether, even if you're right, which it sounds like both of these sides are, whether you're a good person, which it sounds like both of these sides were trying to be, there can still be an off element. Maybe we'd say a disordered element where it's like you are interacting with a thing not as the thing itself or as whatever it's trying to be, but as a manifestation of an ideology that you hate or that you find disrespectful or that you find evil. And the point is, like, what's necessary, that's there. Now, what's unnecessary, what's descriptive, that's there. Now, what's characteristic? Because, like, dude, I don't know about you, like, I have been to, like, we're wearing suits, and there's the organ, and there's incense, and it's these old churches, and it's beautiful, and it's amazing. I've also been to, like, I'm in flip-flops, and a swimsuit, and a hoodie, and Danny's playing guitar. Yeah, exactly. It's Gulf Coast. I'm describing a legitimate mass that I had on the Alabama coastline with Notre Dame. But like Danny's playing guitar and we're getting the words wrong, and the altar is a coffee table, and it was so intimate and so familial and so comfy. And it's like those are both. There's room for both because a lot of the trappings are negotiable and subjective and preferential. But, and this is the huge thing that I always want to come back to, they mean something. Mm-hmm. They point to something. Just because it's subjective or preferential or signifying for you and not for someone else, or for someone else and not for you, does not mean that it's suddenly meaningless. And like, how amazing that we have a God and have a faith that says the way that you want to experience me and the way that you are, the way that you do experience me, and the way that like spirituality is manifest and all the lessons that it holds with it, like how amazing that there's room for all of those. And at a time we were like, that's Franciscan spirituality, or that's Dominican spirituality, and now it's like it's way harder to tie all those apart. But we like to go, the way that it looks for me is the way that it should look for everyone.
Okay.
Or the way that it looks for my community. Yeah, I don't know. I've been talking a lot.
So I like what you said about the mouth breathers, the mouth foamers. Okay, if all you talk about, we get together, we're having cigar night, and like all you can talk about is what's his face, the North Carolina bishop, and his like ridiculousness that came in the news this year.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
He released something that was like, we're not gonna, like, you're not allowed to do anything that's not in English unless like the pastor can like emphatically prove that everyone understands Latin completely, you know.
Okay.
It was a whole hullabaloo, and it's like, is that all you can talk with? Like, we're smoking cigars, dude. There's a bonfire. You can't. What about the game last night, right? Like, are you? My wife and I say, are you a real person? Like, do you have more going on in your life than just the latest news cycle thing? You know, oh my gosh, the newest fad to get upset about, the newest rage bait item. Like, can we talk about something else, please? I had a buddy in San Diego. He was just like this. He would get in a group of, you know, a bunch of diehard Catholics, and he'd be like, I want to talk about something super hot button issue right now, real controversial. I want to talk about abortion. And everyone's like, that's not controversial here. Like, yeah, we're in California, but like, have you looked at who you're sitting with? We all have the exact same opinion on this. Like, what's the controversy? And then someone would start talking, and he would quickly shut them down. Well, I'm going to tell you what I think. You know, okay, so you just want an opportunity to talk. Got it. Not a real person. Okay. Second thing. Subjectivity versus objectivity. Now, we talked a lot about this on the last show. Cool. And that was a great conversation.
Can we actually come back to that in just one brief second?
Okay. What's up?
Because I actually just I keep saying over and again that like I want to be like, it's not about being like, this is like this divorcing of the two, not divorcing, but this clarifying, this being like, hey, this is here. That's not meant to like in any way like deconstruct or devalue. And even as you're talking about these people, I'm like, they're acting like this because they want to belong somewhere, right? Like if the guy at the wedding is like, isn't this great how super Catholic this is? If that's how if everything we've been talking about is truly what he meant without realizing it, what that kind of means for him is like I'm not out there in the world where no one gets it. I'm here where I'm home. right? And this guy, even this guy who sounds like he doesn't really know how to like hang out with people, when he's like, I want to talk about what really matters. He's out there probably being like, everywhere I go, I know that people would hate me if I brought this up. And like he's talking about like something that like actually is like a moral teaching of the church. So it's like this isn't quite Catholic. But whenever we become mouth foamers, it's kind of it sounds derogatory. I was just because it's like people literally just like start like becoming like insensate with how much they care about this. But it's like when you care, and especially when it's like, look, this is an ideology that, again, my definition of mouth foamer is like, it is logically coherent. It is oriented towards making you a better person. It's just like you can't ever relate to anything outside of it through this lens. That to me is like, okay, you're feeling so attacked, or you're feeling like you would be attacked if you were to ever show your true self. And so you come in and you go, this is the way that it is, and it has to be this way, and it has to be this because if it's not this way, then it's like, where do I fit in? There's such like a desire to belong, but like that's culture, right? Like we want to feel at home in a thing, and my desire is to highlight this, is to number one be like, look, for those people who have felt like the culture doesn't fit them, the unnecessary quote unquote, the characteristic things don't fit them. Actually, like, so long as like you believe in the creed, you have a sacramental life, in those non-moral, non-doctrinal, semi-devotional aspects, like you're free to like be as expressive and as you and as God oriented as you want. Sing a new song. For those people that love that, it's like, guess what? Have at it. That's great. And for everyone in between, you are allowed to go from place to place to place and have it be your home. It's my goal to highlight this is like, instead of being like this one thing is super Catholic, being like, actually there's a number of ways to be super Catholic, and you belong in all of them, whether it's a guitar mass, or whether it's reading like the Southern Gothic works of Flannery O'Connor, or whether it's you're like I was at like a Vietnamese mass at St. Peter's in Rome, whether I'm on the Gulf Shore or here or there, or we're having this conversation, or we're dressed this way, we're eating this food, or on the Feast of the Assumption I had a White Lady cocktail. And it's like, this is just a drink, but it's semi-devotional, and that's great. There's so many places and so many ways that we can respond in non-moral, non-doctrinal, semi-devotional ways that it's like, I'm at home in this, in my own specific way. And we sometimes can get really passionate about like, no, it has to look like this, because if it doesn't look like, we go, well, am I home? Do I belong here? It's it's this idea of like, yes, love everyone, love your neighbor, love God, but like, am I liked? And do I like this? And am I home? And that's what the mouth foamers are getting at. So I do want to put the quick pause of like, we can get semi like these mouth foamers do. They're such a pain in the butt to deal with, and these trads or these super progressive Catholics that keep like we can just start naming camps. But all of these camps are saying like, this is how I'm responding to it. And actually, so long as like the doctrine is there and the morals are there and it's devotional, we actually are able to grab from everything, and we just have to be discerning in ourselves and in other people of like, are we assigning morality and doctrine in places where it doesn't actually exist, like with rock and roll or with D&D, or in terms of this style of dress, or guitars versus organs. We have to be aware of all of those things. But it's because it's a matter of, I want to be home and I want to belong, and I don't feel like I belong there. And so I want here to look what I think it should look like. That's what these mouth foamers are saying. And so I just wanted to interject there for my 5-minute rant to be like, this is from a place of sympathy. Like, mouth foamers can sometimes be, I've been a mouth foamer. We've had enough nights hanging out where wow, John really feels passionate about that and can't really relate outside of being in a normal way to me, except for that. But the point is like, sympathy, empathy, there's a thing off, but the emotion driving it is like, I want to be at home in this. And the truth is like, when we can actually look and like take these things apart, it's everywhere.
Okay. I like what you're saying, and I want to put some caveats on it.
All right, let's hear some caveats.
So there's legitimacy to subjectivity as a great way to insert sacramentality into your life. Absolutely. I think the Ottoman looks best over there. because the summation of my life to this point says like that is subjectively the best place to put the ottoman. And I'm going to worship God intentionally by putting the ottoman over there. Okay, I'm using this sort of like ridiculous example, okay? Point being, every aspect of your life, here's how I'm going to do it. That's how I like it. That's where I like my ottoman. John Donovan comes in and he says, well, the summation of my life says that subjectively the best place is over here. Okay? Oh, I think that's right next to the...
Which it is, by the way. It is, but we don't need to debate that.
Right next to the fireplace? Yeah, sure. Okay. So, anyway.
You fool.
So, anyway. Like, yes, I am putting my ottoman in that corner to worship God in this semi-devotional, non-moral, non-doctrinal manner. Okay, cool. And I want to, like, that's my intent. Cool. Got it. Yes, that's good. That's A-okay. Also, if I just want to, like, I need to put the thing somewhere, I'm going to put it over here, whatever. Like, that's fine. That doesn't mean anything. That's okay. That's when we start getting an issue, excuse me, before we get to the issue, Catholicism takes the true that is present in every culture and baptizes it into Christianity, right? Takes the true, the good, and the beautiful that is present in everything and says, like, yes to this, we're taking that. No to that, get rid of it. Okay? All right, gotcha. That's a way that you could say subjectivity makes its way into the liturgy, right? Where that sounds really cool. We love the bongo drums. They're coming in. Child sacrifice? No. Putting the line there, that's not happening. We're squashing Moloch. Okay. The issue becomes when your best sucks and everyone gets okay with it. So I'll side with the trads on the guitar mass being terrible. Okay. Like terrible songs performed by people who are mediocre singers, mediocre singers, mediocre guitar
I think it's
players,
mediocre.
Mediocre guitar player. Like everything is just bad. Okay. It's the best they can do. Yes. And they're doing the best. And that's good. Yes.
Yeah.
But no one has stood up and said, you know what, I'm better than that. I'm going to make it better. Okay, like we've been singing on Eagle's Wings for a while now. Great. We can do better.
Hey, Eagle's Wings slaps, dude. All right.
Let me pen a better one.
I'm coming to Virginia so we can throw hands about Eagle's Wings.
As soon as everyone said that's fine enough, that's when we lost it. Because the point is it's supposed to be your best, right? College girl, the best she has is the leggings. Fine. She can go to mass in the leggings because that's the best she has. That will not be the best she has throughout the rest of her life. It would be bad for her to continue wearing leggings throughout the rest of her life. Go get something that looks nicer, something a little more modest, something a little more appropriate for liturgy, right? So guitar masses, let's go to like the really bad ones, okay? The really like, man, that was just not reverent in any form, okay? Like you need to make it better. That's fine for now. Next year it needs to be better. And the next year after that it needs to be even better. What does better look like? Well, I think we have cultural standards.
False premise, Alex. False premise. That's what I'm calling on this one.
All right, go ahead.
Can I interrupt? I shouldn't. I talk so much, and you're so patient. And then I'm like, no, you can't say your thing. I have to interrupt.
No, my California friend that interrupts on everything. He just wants to talk to himself. That was actually you. No, I'm kidding. It's not you.
Oh, no. Yeah.
All right, so what's up?
Famously loves creating conflict for no reason. Guy who's like, I must explain myself ad nauseum to the point that no one can be mad at me.
All right, so what's my false premise, man?
I don't know if it's false premise. Like, let's get outside like this realm of like logic and best, right? And this is part of what, like, I'd like to highlight with Catholish is like this idea of like the best. on one hand is like that's oriented towards God and worship, and especially in the context of the Mass. So like it becomes such a hot button thing, right? It's like it's not talking about how we dress, it's talking about how we dress at Mass. And we talk about like, Jesus loves the sinner, but then like calls them to be more, right? Like this idea that ever getting better and ever increasing and ever towards the best, and how we must help things along on that journey. The idea here is like, okay, liturgy makes it tough because it is quite literally true that's like the role of music and liturgy is to help us enter into the experience of worshiping God there, and it should be lifting us up transcendent. Like I fully buy into that, and I've been to a lot of masses where I'm like, maybe we just shouldn't have had music at this one because it's not helping, it's hurting, right? Like we've had those, right? And guitar and like, but even here it's like guitar masses or guitar even or leggings, they can come to represent ideologies of Catholicism rather than like just it's a guy who's bad at playing guitar. Because like I've been at bad ones and I've been at good ones, and I've been at ones where like the guitars help me in, and I've had guitars where it's like maybe you shouldn't be playing, right? Like so. I want to step outside of that and just more so look at like that perspective of like we should be ever striving towards the best. With this, it's like we have to keep in mind that like sometimes best is kind of a subjective perspective, especially when we're assigned to other people. Because I go, okay, Alex, you are wearing your Sunday best to work to church. Great. Actually, you could sell all of those nice books behind you and that bookshelf, and you could also go sell probably some other things and buy a nicer suit.
Why don't I wear
like it seems like you have. Why don't you wear a tuxedo? And actually, like, why don't you actually like maybe like even like downgrade your car so you can buy your absolute Sunday best and like just true like every single one of the pieces of fabric were from this silk work. Like you could wear your best. And you're like, well, that's kind of ridiculous. I'm like, well, why is it ridiculous? It's the Lord. Doesn't he deserve your best? And then like we can start jumping through hoops. And the point is being like, best can be this moving line. And especially when we're interacting with other people, we're like, no, I'm loving you. But the way that I'm going to love you is insist that you start a process of meeting the standard that I think that you should meet in order to properly worship God. Right? And so like, especially when you come to like Catholic, it's like, and this is exactly the point. It's like we can so easily impute morality or devotion, maximum devotion, or even doctrine onto our own behaviors and the behaviors around us. And so I want to draw attention to it with this podcast and with this writing to be like, is this the case? Is this truly a moral thing to address? Is this truly something that's that important? Because it's like, I believe it is important to wear your Sunday best. I'd love to roll up in sweatpants and a hoodie to Mass. But I go, I should find a collared shirt. Shoot, none of my collared shirts are ironed. Guess I gotta iron one because Jesus deserves a collared shirt. Well, collared shirts, and isn't it just expensive? And well, maybe people aren't privileged enough. And then we get into like the whole background of like economics and term and privilege and race in terms of like what we determine to be nice clothes. And at the end of the day, you see exactly where I'm going with this, don't you? So, like right. We can pull at this thread, but we have to observe the attitude itself.
I once heard it said best from the pulpit. Hey, Sunday morning, what does it mean to wear your best to Mass? Kind of getting at the tuxedo thing.
The one necessary.
You're getting dressed. Okay, you're getting dressed for Mass, and you grab your T-shirt. You grab your T-shirt. Could you grab your polo? Assuming they're all ironed. Could you grab your polo? Polo. I don't think we need to expend much effort validating that a polo is better than a T-shirt. Okay. All right, so you grab your polo. It's a better one. Grab the better option. Grab the better option because it's for the Lord of what you have within reasonable, ill-defined parameters, okay? Mm-hmm. I have my wardrobe. I have some nice clothes. I have some work clothes for the yard. Wear your nice clothes, your Sunday best. Grab the polo. Next week, you grab your polo. Well, I don't think we need to expend much effort saying that the button-down is better than the polo. Could you grab the button down? Could you grab the button down? You grab your button down. Next week, you wear your button down. Well, do we need to expend much effort explaining why a tie with your button down is better than just the button down? Like, I think you can just let's put on the tie. Come on, you can put on the tie. Okay. So now we've worked our way up from t-shirt to button down with a tie within something that you could reasonably expected to have already. You are doing your best within the vast complexity of your life and offering that to the Lord by going to Mass with what the best you have is. Okay? We can apply that same thing to the music. We could apply that same thing to the execution of the liturgy. We could apply that same thing to wearing your red shirt to Mass because the vestments for the day are red. And I think this kind of builds to what is your best. And it is okay to couch it in terms of like, your life is complex, there's a lot going on. It's okay if you don't wear the red shirt when vestments are red. It's okay. But if you can get to that, dude, like, that's that much better. And again, Opus Dei, you're offering that much more, trying to be that much better for the Lord, right? I've lost my thread. I had more to say.
Here's a question. Here's a question for you. You're wearing your Sunday best. Are you? You probably got some nice shoes, right?
Yeah.
Then why is it that when Moses appeared before the Lord, he was commanded to take his shoes off? Checkmate, my friend. No, I mean, like, so, like, what you're pointing at, right? Like, the thing behind this is, it's God. Like, he deserves your best.
That was the next thing.
And you should give your best. Right? Go ahead. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
The next thing was relating it back to Catholish. We've talked about intentionality with what you're doing. Are you wearing the red shirt because it's a red vestment day? Are you putting the ottoman in the right corner because it's, subjectively, it's what you can do the best of for God, because you are trying to do everything you can for God. As opposed to, well, I don't know, I see all the Catholics reading Lord of the Rings. I guess I'll read Lord of the Rings. Whatever, I'm not into fantasy, but, like, I gotta be seen wearing that because maybe there's a single bridesmaid, you know? And oh, you're reading Lord of the Rings too? Oh!
That's so crazy. Yes, I am.
So, you know, it's performative versus meaningful actions. Are you trying to do something because you want to do it for God? Or are you just doing it because, like, hey, man, like, that's what I see people doing. Okay, I'll join the culture of Catholicism, I guess, and, like, that's what people do.
Performative can be, I'm performing for myself to go, I'm checking the signals to make sure that I am on track, right? And it's difficult when we talk about, like, how we're engaging with liturgy, right? Like, when we're actually talking about going to Mass, like, that adds a whole extra dimension, because that's, like, the worship and sacrifice par excellence of the communal ecclesial, like, body, like that, like, that's where we get real. But, like, you extend outside of that, like, hey, I should bring my best to Mass is different than, like, hey, I think that dyeing your hair blue isn't Catholic. It's like, you can dye your hair whatever color you want and still be Catholic. It doesn't matter what color your hair is. And even when it's like you're building it up to, like, putting on a shirt and tie, not all cultures have their best as shirt and tie, and that's the point. Is, like, there is room for variance.
So that's where we can count into the complexity of your life, the culture that which you live in. Okay, like, what is considered really nice that someone would be reasonably expected to have? It's not reasonably expected for you or me to own a tuxedo or a kilt. Actually, I knew a dude who would come to social functions in a kilt because, like, that was his super fancy thing that he owned from his heritage, which is weird.
And, you know, like, what would make that weird to you is it's just like, it's just not culture. But, like, the Catholic can go, if we want to, like, stretch the metaphor, I'm at home in the tuxedo or the kilt, because they both are directed towards the same thing, and they're both, like, reflective of me, and they're reflective of my experience. And, like, that's the point I'm trying to draw here, is that when we start to look at it through these eyes, we stop looking at, like, what is the best, and who's giving the best, and who's not giving the best, and who should give the best. It's okay that you're not giving the best now, but you should start on the journey of giving the best, rather than getting out of that being like, hey, where can I be at home, and what fits, and not what can I tolerate, but what can I integrate, and what actually properly belongs to us. Because the answer is like kind of like really technically everything. Because it's either like, yeah, either this is like good and moral and doctrinal and like cool, that's us proper, or it's like it doesn't really matter. So like have at it. And guess what? Now you're a Catholic that does that. So that's a part of it now. And we can focus so much on the camps of like what makes a good mass. And we're just like, get outside of that for a second. Like, look at how we're actually living the rest of our lives where we go, I'm a good Catholic here, as opposed to I have the necessary things. So you're going to mass. Great. That's necessary. You have to go to mass. You're going to confession. Great. You have to. Those are necessary things. But there's a lot of things in our life that we go, no, see how Catholic I am, right? I dress really nice because beauty is important, and beauty is important to Catholics. It's like, yeah, that's true, but like, that's your interpretation of it. That's your interpretation of how beauty is manifested in your life, and then therefore how you make that reflective of you being a Catholic for yourself and for other people, but also because you're devotional to God. Like, these things get so nested and so manifest, and there's so many different ways, and it's hard to draw a line. And sometimes there is a real moral that you have to confront, and sometimes there's not, and you've kind of just drawn an arbitrary line. And so we have to be super vigilant. But the end goal is integrating and taking in everything that we can and being truly universal, which means that we're united but not uniform. And that leads to true love, because it's not tolerance, because tolerance, as Anthony Mills says, is just condescension, but like truly embracing and taking in and making a part of, because we live in the universal church where there's so many different ways that this can be manifest, where there's Irish Catholicism, or it's Mexican Catholicism, or whether it's like what the kind of Catholicism brand we had down in Pensacola, or which is very different than up here in the Midwest. Not even, and I'm just saying two American places, as opposed to if you were to go to Europe or Southeast Asia or Africa. And these are painted with broad brushes. Like, now let's like go into even like nuclear families for who's more traditional and who's more progressive. When we go, well, one's good and one's bad, and one's devout and one's not, and one cares about the right thing. It's like, hold on. What's necessary? What makes you Catholic? Beyond that, there's a lot of stuff that can be really enjoyable and that can be all yours. And it clearly points to Catholicism. Gothic cathedrals, stained glass windows, on eagle's wings. I will come down and fight you about it. I'm impartial. I'm more so doing bad. I'd fight you about other songs. On eagle's wings, I'm like, I like it, but there's better. Point being, like, that can all be ours, and we can feel at home in it. But also, we can be like, just because I also like other things and feel at home in other things doesn't mean that like I'm suddenly not Catholic. Like, I remember in college being like, I can't ever read any books or watch any TV shows when I could be reading like Christian books or watching Christian content, because it has to be all of it has to. It's like, no, you can like watch superhero movies and play video games and hang out with your friends and watch the game, and it's all fine. There's so many different ways you can be Catholic, so long as you have the necessary things. And so I think, like, kind of put a pin on it, Alex. Like, I would invite people listening to be like, what in your life, do you like attribute to being Catholic? If you cut it away, would you still be fully Catholic, fully in union?
Right. So,
and not to be like, get rid of that forever. Not to deconstruct the point of like, get rid of all this stuff, but of being like, what is so central and so integral? For Saint Mary, it was sitting at the feet of Jesus and listening, right? And for St. Martha, it was like, no, it's I'm doing all this activity. He's like, no. Actually, believe it or not, that's great. Do that. Awesome. Like, you're doing that because you love me. But actually not necessary. So like, let's do that little bit of inventory, not to deconstruct, like, and I guess all of this is made up and all of it's arbitrary and all of it is just perception and subjective and relative. It's like, no. Because even the subjective stuff like has meaning to you or meaning to someone else. And it's pointed towards God, so like it has its place. But like, dig those things apart. What could my life look like where I would still be fully and properly Catholic, and where I'm fully and properly myself? Because like, you know how C.S. Lewis says, like, how mosaic and manifold and many and varied are the saints. We don't become Catholics to become uniform. We do it to be united. But the more united we become with Christ, the more we become ourselves.
Talk more about essential and non-essential items of the faith.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's kind of just sort of what we're what I've been trying to get at. Like, you go, what is essential being Catholic? The Eucharist, confession, baptism, confirmation, praying, right? An interaction with the body of Christ, both living and in heaven, right? An obedience to the Pope and the ecclesial authority.
Okay.
Fasting, the evangelical councils, trying not to sin, doing good stuff. Notice I haven't really said anything else.
Talk about the example you give about a priest's clothing.
Oh, yeah. So one thing that I kind of talk about is let's take a look at like Roman Catholic priests. This is in the article. That's what Alex is referring to. Is like priests are necessary. What's necessary to the Catholic faith? Priests. Gotta have priests. You gotta have priests because you gotta have sacraments. That's super important. Priests have to wear clothes. Also necessary. What do they wear? Well, we go, the vestments. We're not talking about like their vestments. We're not talking about mass. Just in their day-to-day life. What do priests wear? And it's become very common to be like, priests wear the all black with the clerical collar. They wear all black and they have like a little white square. And that's not necessary. Actually, it's also like not necessary for priests to be celibate. Like, that's not intrinsic to it. You know, like in the Eastern Church, priests can have wives, and St. Peter had a wife. Like, it's not necessary, but like let's go more so to like, rather than like something about like the celibacy and marriage life of priests. Like, let's go to like just how they're dressed. Commonly, like they can wear other things. I'm good friends with some priests, and like I've seen them in like
incognito.
I'm wearing shorts and like a polo. Like, yeah, we're going golfing, and they're like, "Cool, I'm wearing my polo." You know, they bust they can't wear that polo to mass, but they can wear it to the golf course apparently. And they're wearing the vestments. I'll give you that one. I think liturgical vestments are better for a priest to wear than a polo at mass. But point being, like, throughout most of their normal life, they'll be like, I'm wearing the clerical collar, all black. And it means something. It's like, look, I am set apart. I look different. Because I am a priest of Jesus Christ in the order of Melchizedek, right? Like, I am different. Also, in this dark and black world, there is supposed to be a lone light of Jesus Christ that like the darkness cannot overcome. And I, who have died to myself and am alive in Jesus Christ, and who is an administrator of his sacraments and his mercy, like I am also to be that light. Like, that's what it means when they dress that way. And you can have like the cassock, and that has like even extended meaning. And I don't want to get into like priests should be wearing cassocks versus just the pants. Like, point being, those things mean something. And even if we're to have the cassock versus non-cassock debate, the point is like you have the debate because of what it means. But guess what? Priests could be wearing a number of things. You know, they'd be like, they could have never had those in the first place. They could have decided to dress another way because it means something else. And so the point is like, the way that the priest is dressed means something, and it communicates something. And so to casually do away with it just because it's not necessary, just because they could have dressed another way, it's like that's callous, and it's unwilling to engage in what this means. In the same way, it's not the end of the world if they were to dress another way. It'd just be a different meaning. Like, what if priests just dressed casually when they're not wearing their vestments? What would that mean? You could draw any number of meanings to be like, well, the whole idea is like, they don't set themselves apart. You know, he had no stately bearing, no way that we could recognize him. Just like Jesus, he was like the priests are unrecognizable. And there's a humility to the fact that they're given this supernatural power to forgive sins and cast out demons and all these things, but they draw no attention. Like, yeah, you can draw any number of these meanings, and that's super beautiful too. And like the idea of like how they dress and what it means something, and what that means matters. And just because they could have done something else, and that would have mattered just as much, and it's not the end of the world if what they currently have doesn't exist, just because that's a fact, it doesn't discount what they currently have. Like, that's the paradox that you have to kind of unravel here, of there is necessary things that you cannot do without, like priests. And then there's unnecessary things that you could change, like how they dress with the clerical collar. But at the same time, those things still do matter to the priest, to the people that look at them. And just because it's not necessary, and just because it's characteristic, or just because it's like cultural or semi-devotional and not necessary, Doesn't mean that like you should just do away with it. Doesn't mean you should just deconstruct it out of it altogether. It just means learn what that is. And if someone's dressed different, learn what that is. Because both are your home and both matter and both are important. And they're pointing towards what is necessary. You don't need to constrict yourself to it, but you have the freedom to live in it. And that's awesome. That's super cool and it's super great. So there's no competition, there's no condescension. It's all great, whether a priest is in a cassock, or they're in their clerical collar, or they're in their just like civilian attire. All of it means something, and all of it matters. And it could mean something else, but it means what it means, and that's great.
All right. I think that covers everything we were going to talk about for this. Closing thoughts?
I hope so. My throat hurts. I talk too much.
It's in an interview. My job is to make you look good.
I appreciate it. Hey, it takes a good-looking guy to make a guy look good. Did that compliment work?
Thank you.
I think this is true. I think I became a writer because every time I have a thought or an opinion or an observation, I feel like I need to have so many qualifiers to that I need to have copious footnotes and paragraphs to be like, and now you may think this, but I have to explain this as well. And also in addition to this, understand that that's being colored by this. And I think that's why I'm a writer, that no one can like interrupt me. And so I super appreciate you giving me like, and now John monologues for 10 minutes. And then Alex is going to say something. I go, actually, Alex, I'm going to interrupt you because I have more to monologue. But I appreciate it, and it's always great talking to you, man. And this has helped me refine some ideas, and I'm always super grateful for that, and for you. And it's never short enough, the distances between when we talk.
I'm just scanning through the rest of my notes for today. Yeah, we didn't want to talk about online Catholic culture because that's lame and dumb. Yeah, I think we're good. I think that's it, man. Awesome. Hey, thanks for coming on again. Always a pleasure talking with you.
Dude, thank you, man.
Hey,
I hope I gave you some stuff to talk about.
And as always, check out John, Substack, linked below. We got his books on Amazon, always for sale. That's great stuff. Grab him. You can find him in the LP of Michigan and with his comedy troupe. Always working great competitions out there, doing some great stuff. So, awesome. Dude, catch you later, okay?
Thank you, man. This is awesome.
Bye. For more information, please visit the official Generation Vatican II website, generationvatican2.com. The Generation Vatican II Instagram and Twitter handles are @GenVatican2. If you have questions or comments, you can email me at generationvatican2@gmail.com. And if, after giving to your home parish, you think you'd like to support me, you can find my Patreon by searching for Generation Vatican II on Patreon. All donations will go back to support the podcast. These views are my own and in no way endorsed by the U.S. Navy. The Generation Vatican II theme song is titled Et Spes, composition, score, and performance by the musical genius of Brendan Flynn, whom you can listen to on Spotify or YouTube. Hope to see you next time. I'm Alex, and this is Generation Vatican II.